Hi there, thanks for joining me. Hold on, let me turn off that light above. That's better. Less shadows. I've been working on the Roundabout Papers. The text block is in, tiny little bit of lace at the top and the bottom, or well, the top and the bottom. Now it's time to have some fun ephemerizing. A couple little things that I want to do in here. I think I'm going to do a lot of my little ephemera things off camera this week here. But I thought I'd show you what I did. I wish I had another copy of this. You know what? I'm going to go look and see. Found it. I should have known that I'd have more than one copy. She's from the painting The Money Changer and His Wife, which is right here. So what I did was I did a little bit of playing around, as I do when I fussy cut. There's a shelf up here, and I decided to make it so that she's actually gazing at the shelf with the mirror, the rounded mirror, and put it on the shelf. So that's what I did here. Let me move that out of the way now. So she's gazing over at the shelf. Fussy cut the shelf, and then I put the mirror onto the shelf. And I had to do a little bit of, I cut in behind here so that I could tuck a bit of the mirror behind that item there. And then in front of that ledger that's right there. So that works, and I like how it looks, and it's sort of, she's gazing at this, and it doesn't, I was able to, it's just so beautiful. This marbled paper. Oh, hold on, I better start my timer, because I'll talk too much. Now, I'm hoping to put hubby into it. He's over here on my desk somewhere. Oh, there he is. I've still got him. So he may go in the back here somewhere. He may go on the final page. I'd like to find a way to save the end, where it says the end, because lately that cracks me up. Not sure. I might tuck him just down here and maybe make a pocket out of him. Glue him onto some the kind of cardstock, like my go-to backing for when I want something a little bit stronger is file folders, and you can get them at my thrift store. There are always elastic bundles of file folders at all my thrift stores. So, but I will go through a few little things that I've done here. There was a leftover piece of paper from this book that I loved because it had the staining from the cellophane tape from the real deal, and I just wanted it, so I ran that along there. This, I believe, came from a complimentary your Creative Studio box that was sent to me once. And then it's also a tuck spot, but I haven't decided what I'm tucking in there yet. So, and then I played around with just a little bit of collaging. This was in this little booklet that I found at my St. Vincent de Paul once, and it's just full of ephemera, but you have to cut it out. So it was a tiny little button card, a photo of an old button card. So there was photos of buttons there. So what I did was actually sewed some little buttons on. And I like how that worked out. And that also is a little tuck spot. So something can go behind there. And it can hold something. And then there's still room for journaling. And room for journaling on the back and a bit of sewing. Now, the page from the butter, in order to make it fit and to be able to include that lovely cow, that's what I ended up doing is I trimmed off the part. This paper was originally to wrap a pound of butter. As ever, I do my best to try to remember when I've been happy mailed, happy gifted, nice things. So please forgive me if I get it wrong. I'm at the point now, when I started this adventure of junk journaling, I was determined to keep all the notes and remember exactly who gave me what. And now it's chaos in here because you're all so darn nice. This was from Nancy. Because I also do my best to support her shop. But it could very well have been gifted. Nancy will know. I don't remember. But I do know that the butter paper was from Nancy. I'm pretty sure. Anyhow, the logo was on the other end of this part of the paper. So I backed it with some tissue paper, and it as well, now this part of it, so it didn't totally get wasted, is a pocket. I like to do, if I'm going to do a few little fun things in a journal, as you know, I feel like I'm going to try this year. My January is going to get it out of the way month for all the things that I do in my journals. And then maybe, do you think, for the other 11 months of the year, I'll just get on with doing my journals. And if anyone asks, well, why do you do that? I can say, you know what? Watch the month of January again. And I go through all the little quirky things, all the little Catherine quirks. Anyhow, so I do my fun collagey, pockety things on pages that have printing on them. And of course, when I use pages out of the original text block, they have printing on them. So there we go. That's over with. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know about my Ramon's Laxative Cold Tablets. And I do believe these also came out of my Nancy meatball box. So I decided to make it a tip-out tuck spot. I don't have anything inside it yet. It needed a little reinforcing, so I made some faux cellophane tape. And then the other side is a tuck spot. This I know came from Alice because this is quite recent. And and these are cool because they're already blank on the back. Isn't that neat? I just like everything about it. you've got your playing card, you've got music, and you've got either the lyrics to the music or a poem. It's just cool. So I've already tucked that there. But I felt like I made the mistake of rearranging some things in my room because I put Christmas away. And that made me start going through books and finding books that I've decided, no, I don't think I will ever use these books. And if I'm going to use this book 5 years from now, someone else might as well use it now, and maybe it'll find its way back to me in 5 years when I say, gosh darn it, why did I get rid of that book? I'm going to throw it out to fate. So I actually have a box of books ready to go to back to the thrift store. But when I was doing that, I found this little book that I saved. It's not that old, but it's got some really great illustrations in it for my fussy cutting. And I remember now why I bought it. One of the reasons why I bought it was it still had the original handwritten receipt inside it from the bookstore on Yonge Street in Toronto, where it was purchased in the 1970s. Theatre Books, Toronto. There we go. Anyhow, it's got some really cool illustrations that are fussy cuttable. And some cute color ones. Well, I noticed when I was going through it and trying to decide, does this stay, does this go? And look at, there's some really cool toilets and toilet paper, and I got a thing for laxative ads. So with Ramon's cold tablets, I just thought, you know what, let's put in an old toilet. Now there's this big, tall, fancy one. But I rather like the low-down suite from 1895. So I know I had ancestors that may have sat their little tushies on one of those at some point. 1875, you betcha. I think I sat on a few like that when we went to Ireland. Definitely in one of the pubs there was one like that, because the water box was way up near the ceiling and you had to yank a chain. That was an adventure. Same with like this one, where the box of water is up there and you had to yank a chain to flush the toilet. Yeah, 1890, look at that. I do think I like this one better, and this is one of those, you know, King Solomon's choices when the baby was brought before him. And you've got to decide which page. And since there are several things on this page that I like, versus there's really only 2 things on this page wins. And this toilet wins. Let's see if we can tear it carefully. Can we do it? Of course we can. Do we want the toilet paper as well? Let's do it. So anyhow, this book, and now that I've cut into it, definitely stays. It's a cute little book. I'm happy I found it. I'm going to pause and fussy cut these, and then we can glue them in together. And then I think that's it for an on-camera ephemera that I'm going to do in the Roundabout Papers. The rest will have to be a surprise for when I do the flip through. So some things have got to be a surprise, right? Okay, hold on. I'm going to fussy cut. Okay, we have fussy cut. Time to ink. Just inking because they won't be going on pure white paper, but they were on pure white paper, and to To quote a very famous junk journaler I know, distress ink hides a multitude of sins. And in this case, that being white paper. I remembered it was the pub that had the toilet like this in Ireland was in Killarney, and I am a sucker for earworm music that gets stuck in my ear for the rest of the day. And trust me, you didn't want to be with me for those 2 days in Killarney, because it was Christmas for 2 days in Killarney. And trust me, I was feeling grand. My poor husband. And anyone else standing near us. Can't help it. Okay, all right. So, toilet and laxative is ready. And toilet paper. Now I'm thinking, do I want to put my toilet here? Because this paper is green. And that tank just looks so nice with the green. Or do I want to put it on this side? Because it's a busy paper and this is all journaling space. And the green, it flows. So I'm thinking this side wins. I'm still not convinced about the toilet paper. Toilet paper's going aside. The red's not doing it for me. But this is doing it for me. Oh ho, oh ho, I see something. Besides that, I need to turn my timer back on. There we go. There we go. So in the room cleaning, oh my goodness. So I've got this big carousel type thing that holds my stuff. And I don't know how I did it, but I spilled it. And my stuff was everywhere. So all my little knives, all my stuff. But it forced me to make some stuff choices as well, because everything fell out of it. Everything. Like, I don't know if I can show you whether it will fit underneath here. One of these things. Everything fell out of it. I ended up testing some markers to see if they were even still working. I dusted out the inside. So I'm rather proud of myself. I moved some things. I always make a choice as to, is this something I use every day, once a week, once a month, once every 6 months? And then they get stored in my room in that sort of keeping that in mind, because there's no sense my vital desk space here, the reachable space that's critical, and something that gets used twice a year, there really is no point keeping it in this critical space. And I was rather proud of myself, but it took up time last week. But putting away Christmas things prompted it. Wasn't my fault. Now, I probably would have been wiser to cut this fussy cut into 2 pieces and gluing it down in 2 separate sections. But we like to live on the edge here, don't we? Yes, Nancy, the jingle jangles they got put away as well. I unlooped I unjumped that ring. And you know what? For me, this works faster. I bent it a little. I can grab that. And now, you know what? I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And of course, it's red. I love red. All right, let's... Let's move that, because you know I'm going to glue my book to the paper. All right. I want to be able to keep that careful. And going north-south. Yeah, and now, of course, I'm going to have to look up the name of the pub from Killarney, because it was named after a famous story of a young woman who was murdered. That's going to drive me crazy. So, if you're like me, part of me would want to know, how old is that toilet? So I've got Lowdown Suite, 1895, and I thought about cutting this out and putting it down, but I think I'm going to hand write it in. So, oh, sorry about that. I'm banging things here. Where's my brown one? There it is. Got my micron pens. The Lowdown Suite. Now I'm going to have Boz Gags in my head for his song Lowdown. Low, is that one word? Yep. $18.95. There we go. So now, whoever ends up with this toilet on their journaling page will know that it's the Lowdown Suite from 1895. All right, so the rest is going to be a surprise, probably closer to the end of the week, of what I plan to do with some... Obviously, I need to put lots of tuck spots in. The money changer needs to go somewhere. I can't be the cause of he and his wife going their separate ways. This journal had quite a few rather nice illustrations in it, so I want to be able to put them back in. This one I tore by accident, so I will be using some of my faux cellophane tape to put it back together again and then put it into the book. So, but that's going to be off-camera stuff. So let's close this up, and I'm going to show you, maybe get started on a few things that are going to be the next books, because I thought you might be interested. And they're two very different ones, but they'll be done in a Catherine style. I want to work on this book, because I love the title of it. And it should be a January journal, New Worlds to Conquer. And I really see, when a book comes to me that has a plain cover like this, it's screaming for a plated old master to go on the cover. And I saved this for a while, and I actually found it just a few minutes ago when I was looking for the money changer and his wife to show you the actual full painting of it. And so she needs to, she's obviously off of a calendar. Huh. I think she needs to go on there. She's dressed in red, so I already love her. The ship, because there's New Worlds to Conquer. There's room for me to trim. She seems to be stabbed in the breastbone by an arrow, and it appears that her jewelry must have saved her life, or else she is already resurrected because she's got a halo. She perhaps is a saint. I believe in paintings they weren't allowed to put halos. They were only allowed to put halos on saints, angels, and the Holy Family. I could be wrong. Someone out there who knows art better than I, please let me know down below. But as far as I know, there were some rules to when you were painting back then, that halos were reserved for special people. So I bet she's some kind of a sailor's saint. And that she's got a book there in her hands. So it just, that's what I want to do. And you know what I think I want to do with this spine? And I haven't done it in 2 years? Could it be that long? I've been putting together a separate Instagram account. I realized with this Instagram account, see, I'm just wandering all over the place today. I realized with this Instagram account, it's also full of just a lot of typical Catherine chatter, silly things like a New Year's martini. Like, what does that have to do with junk journals? But it's me. So I thought, you know what, I should put together just an Instagram account where really it is simply the photos of the finished journals. So I have somewhere I can go. I often have people say, oh, what is it that you do if I'm buying an ugly old book? And they'll say, what are you going to do with this? And then I say, well, I make journals. Oh, could you show me a picture? Well, when I pull up my Instagram account, there's a photo of a martini. Like, I lose all credibility. So I'm putting it together, and I've been going through old photos that are in my old Etsy shop, the sales from then. And I did an opera book where I did the faux stitching down the spine. And this spine, you can barely see it anymore. New Worlds to Conquer was here. I love that the author is Haliburton. That's a beautiful area in Ontario, the Haliburton Highlands, spelled differently, only one L in our Haliburton. Anyhow, this spine is just calling out to be strengthened. I'm going to do faux stitching because I want to put a hidden hollow back spine in it. So I'm not going to, I don't want to sew the signatures to the spine. So, and that's what I did with the opera book. And it just looked pretty. And I may put some banding on it with gold gilding wax. So that's my plans for New Worlds to Conquer. She is going on that. I need to find this painting and find out more about it because she intrigues me. And then this little book. This sweet little book. Look at the cover on that. The little young lady and the little goat. And it is falling apart, and rightly so. It's from the 1870s, I believe. 1879. So, Sybil's Sacrifice. And there are a few full color illustrations in it. And I'm really looking forward to this. At first I thought, oh, I wonder if I should save it and it should be a Christmas journal, because the dedication in it is December 23rd, 1879. It says, presented to, here it says Easter Pettipiece by her teacher, John Ludlow. I have found her teacher spelled her name wrong. Her name is Esther. And I did all kinds of hunting to find her. And then, of course, she herself, it obviously bothered her that her teacher didn't know her name right. And I found this later. It says to Esther. She obviously wrote inside, you know, my name is Esther. I dealt with that my whole life growing up, because teachers would write, you know how teachers write notes when they're correcting your papers? And there would be the note, Kathy, next time do this, 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 and this, and this. And my mother would get on the phone. Stop calling my daughter Kathy. Her name's not Kathy. It bugged me too, but I didn't have the courage to tell my teacher, please stop calling me Kathy. Nothing wrong with the name Kathy. To all the Kathys out there, love you, but I'm not Kathy. Anyhow, so obviously it bothered Esther that her teacher, that she won this book and her teacher dedicated it to Easter. I wonder how old her teacher was, though, because think about it. Think of how old Laura Ingalls Wilder was when she was hired as a teacher. This poor guy might have been 13 years old as her teacher, 14. We'll never know how Esther got her name, but we will save it. Anyhow, this beautiful little book, I love all this. So I am toying with the idea of doing something similar to what I did earlier with the little holly girl. I need to see, why don't we do it now together? I need to see how crackable these pages are. Sometimes, even though they're from the 1870s, they're pretty sturdy. Part of me is tempted to reuse these pages and simply strengthen them a bit by gluing over. It's going to be a little book anyhow. And then putting them back in the correct order so that I can save how that has, that all fits in there nicely. Some people, this might be one of the journals that I make that puzzles perhaps someone new here. If you've been here a while now, you know me and you know what I enjoy and what gives me a thrill. And flaws in an old book give me a thrill. And this sort of thing, I have no intention of trying to restore it so that it looks beautiful again. And mostly because I am not a book restorer, but also because the word's gone out of my head. Yeah, it'll come to me after I turn off my camera. This sort of thing, I love it. There's just centuries, well, decades, over a century and a half. Yes, I hear you. My alarm's going off, saying, Catherine, you've talked way too long. It deserves to keep that. And I love it. So it had a stripe of really gucky, gluey, I'm not sure what it was. I always refer to it as somebody's lunch got spilled while they were reading their book. And it had to come off. Quite often I don't mind the grime on books because the grime, they've earned it. Again, it adds to the, it starts with a P. No, it's not provenance. I bet you're all yelling at your screen right now. Anyhow, so I did have to get that stuff off. That part grossed me out. That part of their lunch. And I just wanted to show you, because you do have to be careful. You can remove ink when you're cleaning pages this old, especially 1879. I was willing to take that chance with the grossness that was here, and it did lighten it up. As you can see, it took some of the ink off. So I did very carefully wipe down all the green areas of the book to remove any grime. I actually think in this case it worked to my advantage. I think it helped accentuate the embossing that's on the front of this cover, and I think that worked out great. So once I get this book apart, and it looks like it's not going to be too much trouble, it's not going to give me a fight, I'll be just spraying this with a sealant. And I'm grateful that this beautiful little picture on the cover has survived all those years, and I don't want to do a thing to it to change it. Glad I got the lunch off of there. We're going to seal it shut now so that anything left under there will be under the sealant. And so again, this is why I didn't even dare use a baby wipe. I thought that might be too strong. And I didn't even want to use alcohol on it. So I simply used distilled water, and I just patted and patted and patted, especially on where this black stuff was, until I could get it lifted. You could almost see the black here, until I could get it lifted. And then when I saw that some of the green was coming up, that's when the rest got, the decision was made that all the grime needed to come up. Sometimes the grime is not so bad, and I'm very happy to just seal the grime under a layer of sealant. But this time, some of the grime went. So I hope that makes sense to you. If you have questions for me, please write them down below. I'll be happy to try my best to give you my whys and wherefores, and I will try and remember the word that I'm looking for. Patina! Patina, that should be my word for the year, because I still haven't chosen my word for the year. Maybe if it's patina, I will remember it. I love old things, and I love the patina of old things because I feel like they deserve it. It's kind of like my gray hair and my wrinkles. my patina. I've earned it. I'm going to get off my soapbox now and go get a snack and a cup of tea. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And we will talk later on this week, maybe in a day or two, or maybe closer to the end of the week. I really want to get Roundabout Papers done and have this little beauty going on its way to its new home. So take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye.